Hi guys, and welcome back to Cooks by Carrie. In today's video, I attempted to make the trending baked oats. I got my recipes from @Trace'sOats on Instagram, and I will leave his profile in the description so you guys can get the recipes. The oats did not turn out as planned. I think it's because there was a couple things that I did wrong, so I'm going to be sharing what happened and how I would suggest you all to make these oats. So without further ado, let's get into the video. To start off this recipe, I am preheating my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. For this video, I am sharing how to make baked oats 3 different ways. So to start off, I'm going to be making Oreo baked oats. For this, you're going to need some oats, milk, banana, chia seeds, maple syrup, a little bit of salt, baking powder, cream cheese, and what's optional but what I included was some protein powder and an extra splash of milk. Basically, all these recipes are pretty simple. What I'm doing is adding all my ingredients to a blender, and I'm going to blend them. Except I'm not including the cream cheese and half of the Oreos. I did notice that if you do this, you don't get the oat texture when you bake them, so it's really up to you if you want to blend it all together. You could just mix it all up. Also, I am using a NutriBullet blender, that's why it's a smaller cup, but you can use whatever blender you have on hand. Or like I said, you don't even have to blend it if you don't want to. You just mix all the ingredients together and then continue. Now, I've got everything in the blender and I am going to blend it on my extract setting, but if you don't have that, I would say maybe medium or high and just until completely mixed through. Now I am pouring my mixture into a prepared baking dish. I was just using this little bowl I found. I think it's called a ramekin. But I would actually recommend trying to use a larger dish. I would think you'd want it more spread out because mine did rise a ton, so this was not the best dish to use. So just use one a little bit larger than what I'm showing here. Now I'm adding the cream cheese to the center of the oats. Personally, I didn't really like the cream cheese in the middle of the oats, so I think I wouldn't do this next time. But if this is something you want to do, just push it down, not all the way, but just so it's covered on the top. The last step is to top the oats with some additional Oreos. I want to put them all in the oven at the same time, so let's move on to the next recipe. This one is for birthday cake oats. Personally, I didn't really feel like these tasted like birthday cake. I thought it was more like a vanilla-y flavor, but they were still really good. So for this recipe, you are going to need oats, milk, honey, chia seeds, applesauce, vanilla extract, baking powder, salt, and what's optional is some protein powder and an extra splash of milk. But that's what I decided to do to add some more protein to it, and then some sprinkles. You can top yours with some additional toppings, but I decided not to. This recipe is basically the same as the other one. I just blended all the ingredients up together into a blended and they were mixed together. I did accidentally blend my sprinkles, so you do not want to do that because that's basically just a waste because the sprinkle obviously goes away. But again, I think I would recommend not blending everything. I think if you just mix it all together and put it in the oven, you'd get more of the oat texture and it would be more like oatmeal. But obviously you can do what you would like. If you want to blend them, go ahead and blend. Now I'm going to blend my oats until completely blended through on the extract setting, but again, use whatever setting you feel like will work until it is all blended. Now, like the other recipe, I am just pouring it all into my ramekin, adding some additional sprinkles on top. But please remember that this bowl was definitely not big enough for me, and I should have used something that was more like a small pan. Like not as big as an 8x8, but you could maybe use a loaf pan or you don't really need as tall as that, but like think of a loaf pan like lengthwise. Like you want it maybe like a rectangle pan or a bigger circle, not what I used. Now for the last recipe of this video, I'm sharing how to make these chocolate chip cookie dough baked oats. To be honest, none of them were really that good, but this one was by far better than the other ones. For this recipe, you are going to need oats, oat milk, honey, vanilla extract, protein powder. If you don't have this, you can just use 2 tablespoons more of oats, a tablespoon of chia seeds, some baking powder, a pinch of salt, and some chocolate chips. You can go for a healthier option like Lily's or just regular chocolate chips, which is what I had on hand, so that's what I used here. So as you can see, I do not have my blender with me because for this recipe, we are not blending them. I'm just combining all of my dry ingredients in a small bowl. Just make sure that the bowl is big enough to fit all the ingredients. You shouldn't need a bowl that's super big since this recipe only has maybe 1 to 2 servings in it. So just a bowl big enough to fit all your ingredients. Now to my dry ingredients, I'm adding the wet ingredients and mixing until it's thoroughly combined. Now I'm adding this mixture to my ramekin. Again, I've said this a billion times already, but use a bigger bowl than I did. Lastly, for this recipe, I'm adding more chocolate chips on top. I use a mixture of milk and semi-sweet, and so that's why they are 2 different shades of brown or black, I guess. And this is, the last step. All these recipes are very, very simple, very easy to make. Now, before I throw these oats in the oven, I want to break down my tips. Tip number 1. When you're making the oats, I think that I would recommend not blending them. This is totally a personal preference, but I feel that I would have wanted that oat texture in my baked oatmeal. And if you take that away, it's going to be more, I don't want to say soupy because that's kind of wrong, but it's not going to have as much texture, and it's not going to resemble more of like an oatmeal feel when you're eating it, if that makes any sense. Number 2, I think the oven temperature was a little bit too high. That could have just been my oven, but I would say maybe 375 or 350. Again, I've not tested this out, so do it at your own discretion. But I think 400 might have been a little bit too hot, at least for me. And number 3, use a larger dish. I think that is really what went wrong with mine. My dishes were too small and they all rose a lot, and I think it would have been way better if there was a smaller dish. Also, number 4, I think the cook time was a bit long. Again, this is for me and my oven's kind of weird, so again, you can follow the recipe exactly, or you could take them out my tips, use at your discretion. But I did about 20 minutes, and mine was kind of burnt and stuck together. You want your baked oatmeal, to be kind of cooked on the top, but when you break it open, it's still like that oatmeal, like, mushiness, if that makes any sense. Those are my tips. Let me know if they work for you in the comments down below. Again, I've not tested them, so I cannot confirm that this is where I went wrong, but this is what I think happened to me. So let me know your thoughts, or if you've tried it, what you think I did wrong in the comments down below. Now that I've got the tips out of the way, I'm throwing these at the oven, and again, like I said previously, it took me about 20 minutes to cook, but again, I do believe this was too long. So just do what's your oven, maybe start checking at 15 minutes and on until it's cooked on the top but a little bit quote-unquote raw in the middle. Now, before we continue with this video, please subscribe, leave a like, comment down below what you'd like to see next, and please share this video with a friend. I have a goal of 100 subscribers, so if you guys could help me with that, that would be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, let me show you the final result of these baked oats. Here are the baked oats after cooking. As you can see, they rose a lot. I mean, really that Oreo one kind of like popped a little bit. And you can see that I don't want to call it like a souffle texture because I've actually never had that, so I wouldn't be able to say it. So I don't know what I'm really saying. But since the oats were all blended through for the 2 of them, it was already a mixture that was didn't have a lot of texture, and it was kind of squishy, if that makes sense. And so I did not like these oats, but hopefully with my tips, you guys can try them out and you will enjoy them. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. That's all for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on Foodie Friday for a new video. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Cooks by Carrie. I post lots of fun photos of the food I cook. And that's all for today. Bye guys.